Now I'm here with Jennifer Agiesta from the Washington Post's polling unit. Jennifer, thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for
So this morning you moderated an interesting session that featured a series of speakers talking about candidate preference in election polling, and we learned a lot of things about how important is it to be at the top of the ballot, or how good are we at polling for third-party candidates. What were some of the highlights from that session?
I think the highlights for me were the paper from the presenters from Fairleigh Dickinson, who talked about their experiment in New Jersey where they took Chris Daggett's name off the ballot for some of their respondents, replaced it with a different independent candidate, and got a similar percentage of respondents, and a percentage that was much higher than what Daggett actually wound up with on election day. And I think that that kind of study really adds to our understanding of how people respond to vote preference questions. And that's particularly interesting in this year where we have lots of talk about potential third-party candidates coming out of the Tea Party movement, or independent candidates like, Charlie Crist in Florida. It's going to be a really difficult thing to try and ask those questions the right way and get responses that are real.
I thought that research was particularly interesting given the election results in the UK, where you had very high projected votes for Clegg, who wound up not doing as well at the polls. So I think that was
exactly
kind of an interesting finding on our side, but also informed by what goes on overseas.
Exactly. It sort of speaks to the kind of anybody but those guys kind of vote that's out there, which could be very prominent in this election cycle, given the sort of disaffection with government that the public has right now.
Now, one of the sorts of things that we've had a little bit of an opportunity to talk about here at this event has been this transparency initiative and sort of the different pressures that media pollsters face as opposed to maybe commercial pollsters or those who are working for candidates. What sorts of unique challenges do you think as a media pollster you expect to encounter over the next few months leading up to the 2010 elections?
I think the biggest challenge for us is really going to be trying to sort through all of the polling that's out there. There's going to be a huge abundance of surveys that maybe from people we haven't heard of before, and AAPOR's transparency initiative actually will play a big role in that. It'll help us, if it is successful, to be able to determine what our reporters should and shouldn't use. That's a big part of our jobs, and it's an especially difficult challenge in an off-year election.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.